Evil Dead Burn is now out. People seem to be liking it. I know I did. It is one of my favorites in the franchise. I already have a non-spoiler review if you want to check that out, but this video is going to be full of spoilers for the ending of the movie and, most importantly, the two post-credit scenes. Those are the things that I want to discuss and what they mean for the future of the franchise. I'm glad a lot of people seem to be having fun with the movie. Not everybody. Some people aren't liking it, and that's fine. I think some of the complaints I've seen have been a little weird, like it's too mean and too nasty. Oh no, my steak too juicy, my lobster too buttery. It's like going to see a comedy and complaining that it's too funny. What do you mean? If you're more of a fan of Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness and you want a more comedic element, and if that's just your preference, then that's your preference. But I do think it's restrictive to say that that's the only thing Evil Dead is ever allowed to be. That's not what it has been the majority of the movies. That's not even what it was in the first movie. The first movie has some funny bits, a little bit here and there, but it is taken seriously. It's meant to be scary. And this movie is about being brutal, hurting people in a lot of very creative, painful ways while dealing with issues of grief and trauma and abuse. And overall, I enjoyed it. And it, oddly enough, has the same ending as Ready or Not, like in a different location, but it was framed almost exactly the same. Alice has survived this ordeal. The medical professionals come to take care of her. She's sitting there. She lights a cigarette. They ask her what happened. And she may as well have said in-laws. That would have been an appropriate answer, but she says my ex-husband. It's like the same ending as Ready or Not. That was a little weird. That was a little distracting. But mainly, let's talk about those post-credit scenes. First of all, you got the one in the mid-credits, featuring an update on Grandma Polly. I was wondering what happened to her, because she gets tied to her chair that goes up and down the stairs, and she gets dragged down the stairs, and then we don't see her again, and I was wondering, where'd she go? While the house is on fire, we see that her other leg had been torn off, but no update on her body. It turns out she crawled away. With no legs, she's crawling down the road. Some random woman driving by sees her and stops to help. And this was a terrible mistake, because now that woman is fucked. And so I don't know if this will be followed up on directly at any point, but it is at the very least just another way for the Deadites from this particular encounter to continue on, possess her, possess a whole new group of people. The madness and the pain does not end there. It is still continuing because of Grandma's ass. That's a fine little scene, but it's mostly kind of comedic. The big one that kind of changes things is the post-credit scene. We go back to the crematorium from the beginning of the movie. There's a little girl walking around, and we see an urn, and the name on the urn is Ellie, the name of the mother, played by Alyssa Sutherland from Evil Dead Rise. This is already a little confusing because she got wood chipped to fuck, and it wasn't even her. It was a weird amalgamation blob monster of her and a bunch of other people mashed together. They all got wood chipped, but her ashes specifically are here in this particular crematorium, and the little girl looks in a mirror and sees Alyssa Sutherland. She's there in the mirror, and then suddenly very much not in the mirror. She manifests into reality, brutally murders the shit out of this child. I mean, right, wow. I wasn't sure if they were going to wrap up the movie like that. Let's just introduce a random child just to immediately horribly snap her neck. But yeah, that's what happens. And so Ellie Deadite is just back now. I don't know what that means. I don't know how that works. It doesn't really seem to make sense with what we know of the franchise so far. It's going to have to be explained. It's not like it was Sebastian Vanacek's idea, you know? Clearly the studio, people behind the scenes made them do this. Is it because they have something specific in mind, or because they're just going for fan service? Is it going to be like a Phase 4 Marvel post-credit scene where they just drop it and it never goes anywhere? Remember when Harry Styles showed up at the end of one of those? We're never going to see him again. But this raises a lot of questions, because typically when one of the Deadites is killed, they're gone. So does this mean that they're killed on Earth, but they still exist in their Deadite realm? In the form of the person they possessed while they were on Earth? Is that how it works? I mean, you could say that. You could just make shit up if you want. But this brings into question what we're going to do for future movies. We have another one coming out next year, but it is a prequel. It takes place in the 70s. So it's not going to address this. A lot of people have wanted like a Avengers style Evil Dead movie. Bring in Bruce Campbell, bring back Jane Levy, Lily Sullivan. Let's get all the survivors together. And I don't think that's ever going to happen, especially with Bruce Campbell's health the way it is now and just the point in his life he's at now. He's totally willing to pass on Evil Dead to other people. You could bring back some of these final girls for sure. And now that Ellie is back, it would make sense to bring back Beth from Evil Dead Rise, because otherwise Ellie's just kind of any old Deadite. I understand bringing her back because her performance was one of the things that was praised the most about Rise. She was very good. She was memorable. I'm not a big fan of that movie. It's at the bottom of my ranking. I think it's kind of boring, but she was good. She is one of the more memorable things about it as one of the standout leading Deadites. So I get bringing her back and getting to see more of her is fun, but unless you're also going to bring back Beth and maybe even the daughter who survived Evil Dead Rise, what does that even really accomplish? What's the point? Because the horror of Evil Dead Rise is a mother trying to kill her own children. And if those characters aren't around anymore and she's just attacking any random people, then it could be any random Deadite. There's not really a point to it being Ellie beyond fan service, and that doesn't mean it can't be fun fan service, but I hope it does have a little bit more meaning. It seems like you should bring back Beth in some way. I don't know how that would happen. I don't know why, but it feels like they're trying to build to something. I don't know if they even know what they're trying to build to. This movie does have focus on the lore. The Deadites have a goal, which they don't often have. It's not just let's cause pain and suffering. They specifically want to get the Kandarian dagger that can kill them. And that makes sense. When that was revealed early on in the movie, I was a little hesitant on that idea because the Deadites being these mysterious demons who just want to cause pain is kind of the point, and giving them a more of a concrete goal could make them feel a little bit more human and understandable, and you might not want that. But I think it works because it is something that has been in the other movies, and it makes sense why they would not be fans of it and would want to get rid of it. And also, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again for decades. These movies barely have a story. They're extremely simple. Deadites kill people. That's basically it. So if you want these to keep going, you gotta spice it up. You gotta do some new directions. So we're featuring the Kandarian dagger very prominently. Their grandfather is the one who made this tape and was researching the Book of the Dead and all that stuff, who I don't believe is named, but it's assumed he's the same one that we knew about from back in the very first movie. And so they have a familial connection to this whole thing. We could be building towards something a little bit more intricate with the lore of the Deadites and of this franchise, and that could be interesting. You could go too far, you could go a little too weird with it, but as long as you keep the spirit of Evil Dead Alive at the core, I think you could do some interesting things with the story to keep it fresh, so we're not just watching random little encounters with Deadites over and over again. And they're fun. It's cool seeing this group of people get tortured by the Deadites in an apartment, and then this other group gets tortured in different ways in this house. And it's enjoyable most of the time, but at some point, you just do have to do something a little bit different that feels like we are going somewhere with it. And so having focus on that lore, having Ellie return, could eventually build up to something a little more. At the time I'm recording this, I don't know how well Burn is going to do at the box office. I don't know how well Wrath is going to do a year from now, financially or critically. So this could go nowhere. It could go somewhere amazing. It could go somewhere stupid. I have no way to know at the time. We have been expecting them to start connecting the movies in a little bit more serious of a way for a while, which I think is smart. It all just depends on what they do with it. If I had my way and I had to bring back somebody, I'd like to see Mia again, because that is my favorite movie, the 2013 one in this franchise. But oh well, it's not off the table. It could still happen. I would just say be careful. Like I mentioned in my first review, this is often considered the most consistent horror franchise, even if it's not one of my personal favorites. I still acknowledge that. I don't think there's one that is like really poorly made compared to the others. I just think that stylistically, some of them appeal to me more than others do. But in terms of actually delivering what many fans want to see, each of them do deliver what fans of that specific movie are really going to enjoy. And so just be careful if you're going to make these more and more often and you're trying to cross over and expand, make sure you don't run it into the ground. But what do you think is going to happen with all this? Do you think we're going to see a continuation of any of these characters from these other movies? You think we're going to get some giant world ending Avengers Evil Dead event? Like, what the hell are we doing with this? What can you even do? This could just lead to Army of Darkness 2. We could time travel to another period. I'd be down for that. Let's do it. How interesting would it be to see the medieval setting of Army of Darkness, but with the tone of the newer movies, where they're very serious and very gritty and grimy and brutal? I'd be into it. Is that going to happen? No. Definitely not. We're not doing that again, but it'd be nice. All we can do is speculate. Leave your thoughts on where you think the Evil Dead franchise might go, where you want it to go in the future, stylistically, story wise. Let's talk about it down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I hope to see you next time.